Welcome to Make Shit Happen. My guest today is Tony Bryant. Tony, thank you for taking the ride and thank you for coming over here. I appreciate it, man. I'm glad that we got connected by a mutual friend of ours.
Absolutely.
And, man, thank you so much. I know you came a little early and I was a little late over here, so I apologize, first of all, for that.
Hey, man, no problem. I'm honored to be here. Like I said, this is special for me. This is my first podcast. I set an ambition to do a certain amount of them this year. It's my very first one, so it means a lot to me. Thank you so much. And I couldn't do it with such a better person. You know what I'm saying?
Man, thank you so much. That means a lot. You know, I'm humbled. I talked to you the other day, and you told me a little bit about your background.
Right.
You know, that you grew up in Crosby, Texas. You know, single mother, and
right.
You grew up in a Section 8 apartment complex. Tell us a little bit about your upbringing, man, and you know how you grew up and everything.
Right. So obviously, my parents. You know, based on our conversation the other day, my parents got divorced when I was 9. So my dad was abusive, got into drugs and so forth. So eventually, after moving around, my mom and, you know, so it's 5 of us kids. But at the time, I have an older brother. He lived with my grandmother, but it was 4 of us. So 4 of us, my sister and my other 2 brothers, we all moved into an apartment complex, which we stayed there for 9 years until we graduated high school and then moved on. But that particular environment, you know, it was cool. It was fun as a kid and so forth. But it was also an environment where other kids were poor, and it was do what you can to make money and survive, you know, other than relying on, you know, the check that came in for mom every month. You know, I seen her work 2 jobs and so forth. So it was poverty, you know, as much as it could be here, you know, in the United States without being homeless. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, we're grateful to have had shelter over our head, because my dad didn't do anything. Like I said, he was out of it. He moved back to Louisiana, where they were originally from. But it was tough growing up, man. But you know, my mom kept things as normal as she could. It was still a dysfunctional household, but you know, out of it came, you know, produced a certain mindset within myself. I didn't know what I wanted to do out of life, but I knew what I wanted to avoid. I knew what I didn't want to do. So that was my motivation and my driving to become who I am today.
Oh, that's awesome. You know, when you're growing up in a environment, you know, you know, you're in poverty, and I mean, you know, I can relate, kind of thing. You know, I had both my parents, but I mean, you know, you don't think of it as a kid. You just try to make the best out of it.
Absolutely.
And I mean, I'm sure that as long as you're with your mom, y'all had great moments and stuff, and you don't think about, am I living in poverty? I mean, just as a kid, it's normal to you.
Right. It was normal. I mean, you know, you compare what you have versus what the other kid has, right? So that's from a kid's perspective. I'm not thinking about bills or anything like that. I'm thinking about, oh, he got Jordans and I don't have them, you know. So, you know, and I'll describe in one of my books basically that, you know, I would say for temporary protection, I would say, oh, my dad's going to give me this, knowing my dad wasn't going to give me anything, you know. So, but I would say that just to overcome feeling uncomfortable and embarrassed and so forth. So yeah.
And I mean, you know, that can be hard also.
Right.
So tell us a little bit. I mean, you know, when you graduated over there. Once you graduated, what did you do next?
So for me, I mean, you know, so I started working when I was 14. You know,
what'd you do? So
I got a job down the street at the local country club.
Okay.
So, and that really began to change my exposure. I was in a different environment. And I started to see, you know, what I considered successful older white males, basically how they carried themselves and doing certain things, thinking a certain way. And then I go back to my reality, right? So of drugs and crime and so forth, you know, and that just kind of kept me from exercising that path. But graduating, I put myself through school. I had got a scholarship to University of Texas, but I was in a relationship, came back, and I got 2 associate's degrees from Lee College, and then went on to get my bachelor's and master's degree. But throughout all that time, obviously the driving force was just to secure the bag and make more money, and I thought that was the path you had to go to, you know, to live well. Because, you know, again, I saw it back at the country club, mostly educated folks and so forth, and you know, that's why I went the way that I went.
So when you were 14, what were you doing at the country club?
I was a I started off as a wait staff.
Okay.
So doing special events, weddings, and so forth.
Okay. And then so what is and this is back in when? What year?
Early 90s.
Early 90s.
Early 90s.
Early
yeah,
90s.
Yeah.
So early 90s, you're a little kid, you're working over there and doing
Grinding.
whatever you can,
Yes,
make a
sir.
little extra money, and that kind of opened up your eyes to like, okay, hey, there's a world outside where I live at. Outside where our apartments are, where our school is at.
Absolutely. And I saw it in schools as well. Going to school, kids had, like I said, the freshest gear. They had both their parents, healthy household, what seemed to be healthy households and so forth. And, I aspired to have all that. I aspired to, not dive into doing the wrong thing.
So the school that you went to, was it across in Crosby? Was it like a mixed school, predominantly black school, white school?
No, it's mixed. It's a healthy mix of people.
Okay.
So there's Crosby, which is a healthy mixture of folks, mainly Caucasian, and then there's Barrett Station. I don't know if you're familiar with that, which is mostly at the time mostly all black folks, but we all went to the same schools.
Gotcha. And so Tony, tell us, like, so you graduated from, you went to UT, came back to and went to Lee College.
Right.
What happens next?
So when I came back, I was also working. I had to put myself through school and so forth. So I was working, starting a car dealership, and then also went eventually my career I worked with Enterprise Rental Car for 8 or 9 years.
Okay.
And then after that, I got recruited for Avis Budget Group, and I was a sales and marketing director over Avis Budget Group in all of Houston. And my corporate career ended in 2008. I got laid off, and I became a full-time entrepreneur.
And so tell us what made you want to become an entrepreneur in 2008? I mean, especially those were the dark times in our country.
Right. So obviously being laid off, you were kind of forced to go in a certain direction. And I had what was called a non-compete with my company. So I couldn't work in the industry for a competitor for at least 2 consecutive years. So I went into exotic cars. Me and this business partner were renting out exotic cars. And then my wife's a dentist. So we opened up our first dental office and just kind of went from there. And I was also, because of my experience with Enterprise and open up branches and so forth, I was also consulting at the same time. So, but the entrepreneur spirit really started when I was young, mowing lawns, washing cars and so forth, just trying to hustle. So that was just something that was in me. I was forced basically to take the opportunity and to execute. But at the same time, since my early 20s, I was also investing in real estate.
Okay. So we'll go back to your investing in real estate,
right.
But tell me a little bit about that exotic car thing. What did you end up doing?
Yeah, so because of my experience, again, I was in the rental car industry for so long. So what we call, I couldn't really compete with those
those kind of cars, everyday cars, right?
So that's why I was kind of forced into exotic cars, and it's just I had a friend that needed help, and we just kind of went there. I got a little settlement from my corporate job and so forth, took it, bought a car, and then we also. It was the wrong way of doing it. We also had other people that had cars that were just sitting. We helped them make money off their cars and so forth.
So basically, what Toro is doing nowadays.
Yeah, I guess it was the early days of kind of Toro for the most part, but we were at a prime location. Obviously, exotic cars, they're a little bit more maintenance sensitive, mileage sensitive, and so forth. The car returned every week or so. It wouldn't stay out for 30 days like on Toro or whatever. It wasn't regular cars.
Yeah. So, but I know Toro does the same thing. I think you can get like a exotic car and and rent it. And everyday people who are not using the car, they rent it out, and that helps them pay the car note or something like that.
Right.
Sometimes.
That's one of the ways of making money now. Anyone can make money. Like innovators, you got Uber, you got Toro, which doesn't own any cars. You can, but the exotic cars, you can still lease them out. However, you can be a little bit more selective in who you're allowed to lease those particular cars.
Right.
And
so when you say exotic, you're talking about like Lambos and
absolutely
and Ferraris and stuff like that.
Ferrari, Rolls Royces, Range Rovers, Escalade.
Is it only me or I mean I see a lot of Lambos and Ferraris in town now.
You see a lot of, well, there's a lot of rental places in town.
Okay.
But
so you're telling me a lot of people just rent their cars?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, man. You'd be surprised. And one of the crazy things is, I don't remember the club, but some folks used to just rent the cars and just sat it in front of their club as if, celebrities were there or so forth, giving a certain perception. But
really?
Yeah, you'd be surprised, man. I mean, a lot of people rent those cars, of course, for clout, for whatever, videos and so forth, or just to rent the car to see if they want to buy it. But there's a whole market for it. Mainly, rappers and so forth, entertainers. But yeah, there's a market for just about anything.
Yeah, I've just seen
cars.
lately. I feel like I've seen an influx of Lamborghinis out there, a lot of Ferraris, a lot of G-Wagons.
Yep.
And I mean, I feel like I see them everywhere. Overwhelmingly. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just me seeing them everywhere. I have no idea.
I mean, you live in Houston also. It's a lot of cars in Houston. You'd be surprised.
I see it.
It's a big business.
So you said since you were 20, you started investing in real estate, and today you're more full-forced real estate guy.
Primarily, most of my day is spent doing real estate. So in my early 20s, 21, 22, again, I was at Dibrock Forest Chrysler. I was selling cars for a guy that I know, Mr. Early, and a gentleman came in. He, at the time, Prowler was hot. I don't know if you remember a Prowler. A Prowler was at the time it was a $45,000 car, but for me, a 20-year-old
Impala.
It's
a Prowler.
A Prowler.
Okay.
It's Plymouth Prowler.
I remember that
pointy nose car.
Yeah.
So a gentleman came in, a brother came in, spent $45,000 cash on it. For me, it was like, whoa, what do you do? So we kind of developed a relationship after that, and he kind of gave me some opportunities in real estate, and it just kind of went on from there.
Yeah. I remember the Plymouth Prowler. Yeah. That was when did those discontinue?
I don't know when they discontinued, but
I think they stopped making them 2006.
2000.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think 2005, 2006, somewhere right there.
Right.
So that's how. And then what did you end up started doing with him?
So this is not the right way to do it, but typically I was, I had good credit. He had money, so I would put my credit. So he hooked me up with a broker. Basically, she was a realtor and she was also a mortgage broker. And what she was doing was just, we were flipping houses using my credit, some of his money, and we'd flip it. In my first deal at 22, I made like 20 grand on a trailer out in Waller. So, from there, it was like, okay, cool. I need to do this. But I still kept my day job.
And at those time, getting mortgage was super easy.
Yeah. I guess you do stated income and so forth. But
income.
I figured out later on that, that wasn't the right way to do it, but I didn't know. I'm just following the lead of my mentor, right?
Yeah.
So, but later on, we got into some deals where it wasn't too favorable for me. And, I wound up getting in a lawsuit, and it was crazy. So
lesson learned, huh?
Lesson learned for sure.
Yeah, lesson learned. So anyways, you go, you in 2008, you lose your job. Mm-hmm. You had, you go, you have all these side hustles until 2008. Now you're forced to be in your own business because you can't go back to the rental business.
Right.
You go with your friend, you and your wife open up a dental office.
Right.
Walk us through from what happened from then to now.
So
slowly.
Right. So for me, I was used to defining myself by my role. Really, a lot of folks get in these corporate positions and like, who are you? Well, I'm such and such of this particular company, and I was uncomfortable with just, I not having a title, right?
Yeah.
So, so it was, I struggled with that for a little bit. But, through the encouragement of my wife and so forth, like we just decided, she was working with a company at the time, and we decided to open up our own practice.
Okay.
So, and just kind of the heat of the 2008, a lot of folks are laying off, economies to tank. It was a huge risk. We were advised by a lot of people not to do it, but we wound up doing very well with that office and sold it in 2013 for a few mil. So, I mean, but prior to that, just so you know, like I said, these real estate deals, I did a commercial deal when I was like 23, 24 that didn't mature till I was like 27, 28. So, really at that age, I got a lump sum of cash, almost $1 million myself at that age. So I had, financial security or whatever. So that's why I did that, and then went into exotic cars and so forth.
Got you. So you had some cash over there when you left the car. When you left the company?
I was.
You're
okay.
like, I can do some.
I was okay, but it was more of an identity thing. Yeah. I was trying to figure out who I was in the world and what I meant to people, and how it was going to impact my future. Remember, I come from nothing, and in the majority of my life on my corporate world, on my way up, people around me always had their hand out. So like when I arrived in true money or whatever, I couldn't really share that with the world or share that with family because I know what came afterwards because of my experience growing up and so forth, coming from the environment I came in. Of course I want people to do well and I want to help out people as much as I can, but I figure most people will take from you more than they'll, contribute.
And what made you give that? What made you give that feeling? That was
my life. I mean, it started in apartments. I'd have adults borrowing money from me because I was making more than them and never pay me back. And it happened to be just friends and family and so forth, and it kind of progressed. And at some point, I got to cut it off. You got a family now, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
So I mean, when you were growing up, what kind of experience did you have? When you said there was adults, there's family. What kind of family experience also that you have that you kind of said, you know what, I don't want to go that path? I mean, do you have something you can share with us?
So the thing for me, like, when I don't know if I was 14, 15, I was working at the country club and so forth. And, I'm used to having, so in my environment, I go into houses and friends and so forth. There'd be a pile of weed on the table, crack cocaine, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they're distributing to sell for the most part. And even in my own home, I saw my mom and my sisters smoking weed together. Weed's not a big thing, but for a kid,
especially
to see your mom, your sisters smoking weed together, whatever, it's no knock on them. But I mean, in my mindset, that was like, I don't want this. I don't want this particular environment. So I started being at home less and less, in the sense of not going to stay with friends, but like being in church or being, working as much as I can, just putting myself in different environments. So my mindset shifted, and I had to visualize myself in certain environments, write down certain goals, and then they eventually manifested themselves.
Tony, what gave you that realization at age 14 or 15 that, this is what I want different?
Exposure. You seeing your friends go to jail. You seeing, people literally die, overdose, and just like, is this my future?
I mean, when was that that light bulb moment? Say, man, you know what? Do I really? I mean, was it like some kind of moment you had, like a life changing?
That's what I said. I think that was more of a defining moment when, like, I saw my own family, my mom, and my sisters, and it was simple. It was smoking weed. You know what I'm saying? Like, just, I'm like, like I said, I had a dysfunctional household. My mom was extremely caring, opened her home to people, and did the best that she could and she knew how. Earlier years, obviously, she relied on my dad and so forth. But she did what she knew. She did the best she could. But for me, being exposed to that, and then also being exposed to other families and so forth, I knew
the difference.
Normal.
You could tell the difference.
Yeah, I knew it wasn't normal, and I knew already. I wanted to have things, and the people that I saw having things were, they were educated, and they were. They were just living. They just had a different mindset altogether.
You said a couple of times, education. They were educated. Right. How important is education to you?
So when I say education, in the sense of traditional, I went to school and everything, but I don't, value my education as much as I do my work experience and my hard work and my ambition.
But when you say education, is it? Do you mean
in a sense of, just their articulations were different.
Yeah, but do you mean education mindset. Like, okay, well, how a family's supposed to be, how a household needs to be, how you act at home?
Right.
Is that what you mean by
what
education?
What I considered healthy.
Yeah.
A healthy environment. Like I said, love was always there. But, and like I said, this is my mindset as a kid. I was focused on the nice houses they had. And that's what I affiliated having a good education with.
So what do you consider a good education today?
So today, like, I think, to a degree, college is a scam, So I think I've witnessed so many people come from nothing and just straight grind, true passion for what they do, care about, have certain set of values and just really work hard and smart. I think that's the most educated you can get. I think you can put more into yourself than you can put in your bank account. And that comes from true ambition and doing it, being around the best circles, and just hungry enough to grow into those specific directions.
Well, I mean, I've heard a lot of people say college is a scam, but I mean, don't you believe that sometimes a formal education is super important for a way, because you want to learn how to talk. You don't want to be
in certain environments.
Right. I mean, you want to be in certain environments, and you got to be able to learn how to carry yourself.
Right.
And I mean, college gives you those tools. I mean,
Absolutely.
And I mean, college gives you that
Structure.
that structure. I mean, that articulation, reading abilities, and much more, because like high school where you're dependent on your teacher,
right?
College you become a little more independent. And I mean, and it kind of gives you that focus, that discipline and stuff. But at the same time, it gives you that base. Don't you agree?
Not 100%. You can get a lot at YouTube University and just living life and living experiences.
Listen, I'm going to be the last one. I never finished college,
okay.
right?
Yeah.
So I mean, but I strongly believe that college gives you that base. Because I went to school for 2 years, college for 2 years, versus if I wouldn't have gone to college, I know there's a couple of things I would have not learned.
Right, but some people need trade school, some people need military, some people college is okay, some people have to go on and specialize. My wife's a dentist. You wouldn't want her working on your teeth if she hadn't gone to college.
Right, of course, absolutely not.
It's necessary in certain cases, but I don't think it's the end all be all. In certain, like I say, partially a scam, because a lot of professors don't typically have the true. They're just doing a job. They're not truly passionate about teaching you how to be successful in the world.
No, listen, I totally believe it. Like
right.
I was talking to my sister a couple of days ago. We were looking at this company, this electric company, power company, went out of business.
Right.
And she was like, we have some real estate rentals, and these apartments that we have all bills paid. So she was looking at it, she's like, well, the power company went out of business. We need to look for somebody else. And then she kind of read that, and she was like, where this company had $100 million worth of debt, right? And she was like, in school they don't teach you that you can be in $100 million worth of debt and still operate a full-blown company. So I get that. You don't learn that in college.
Right.
But there's a lot of things you do learn in college that you cannot learn
in
the real world. And if you don't know those things, in real world, your chances of failure is huge. Now listen,
Sammy, I'm not knocking college, by the way.
But us debating on this, I don't think if somebody has the will,
right,
they can go to YouTube University. They can read books. I mean, nowadays there's so much content out there, right? They can get motivated by hundreds of motivators. People have done everything, but that takes a certain individual to watch those.
You're saying not everybody has the will.
Exactly.
But you have to have the will to finish college. You have to have the will to, get up in the morning and motivate it, because most people I know have gone to college, including myself, aren't doing what they went to college for.
100%
It's the structure. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
You can get that anywhere. College, formalizes it in the sense that, hey, I completed this. If I'm coming to interview for, your operation, hey, I have these particular credentials. It may give me a little bit of credibility with you, depending upon how you look at things, saying that I've completed this particular task. But I think more, if I come across, I've done this and I come from this and so forth, and I'm truly exposed and I'm passionate about what I'm doing and I can do the job, even if I can't do it as refined as someone who has that college degree, you might give me more of an opportunity because I'm hungry. Yeah. I'm truly hungry.
But I mean, your hunger is something that college cannot give you. I mean, I get it.
Right.
So let's go back.
How we wind up talking about
I know. This is what happens when, you listen to, everything can go anyways. Let's go back to your story. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
You said that, okay, so you back to, where were we at? I even kind of lost my train of thought.
You were talking about when, my how I got started and so forth.
Yeah. So you said you saw some people who were educated and that you wanted something different.
Right.
You saw that aha moment when you saw your mom and your sister.
Right.
And you knew you want something different. You spend less and less time at your house. Let's keep.
And when I say educated, I mean they spoke differently.
Right.
They carried themselves differently. The environments in which they interacted with each other was different than.
You knew you wanted that.
I knew I wanted different, and I didn't know how to necessarily get that other than to do opposite of what everybody else was doing in my environment.
All right. So then fast forward.
I didn't have a mentor.
I get it.
So
and mentorship is very important. That's why
right.
I always talk about mentorship is very important. So you go now you're working. 2008 happened. Right. You get your family. Get your dental clinic with your wife. Right. How did you meet your wife, by the way?
So she was at a New Year's Eve party in 2005. Her cousin invited her. My cousin invited me. And
y'all met over there?
We met. And she was still in school at the time in Iowa. So every other weekend I would fly to Iowa like twice a month, just courting a relationship. And, we wound up staying together.
Well, that's good, man. Yeah. That's great. You got kids today or?
4
kids.
Yeah, 2 boys, 2 girls. I have an 18-year-old. My daughter just turned 11, and then I got a 9-year-old son, and then a 7-year-old daughter.
That's awesome. I got 2 boys, 2 girls too.
And 2 bunnies after this past weekend.
Oh, 2 bunnies too. Which one of your kids got the bunny? The 7-year-old?
It was my daughter's birthday, so she's been talking about that for a year.
The 7-year-old?
She's 11 now.
Oh, the 11-year-old wanted the bunnies. Okay.
Yeah. Wanted some responsibility.
So, and then so you always like real estate, and today you are full blown in real estate, correct?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what are you doing today?
So I own Home Buyers Texas. Me and my business partner Robert Destin. He's been a realtor for 16 years, but he was also a principal of Crosby High School. So he has a whole story in itself. But we got into he came to me with wholesaling. I had always been invested in real estate, but he came to me with wholesaling about 3 years ago. He told me how simple it was. I made some calls. The following week, we had a $22,000 check. I said, okay, cool. Let's go this route. So, that's it. And since then, we've built a team that primarily focuses on wholesaling. I also, again, buy and hold real estate, but I also loan money towards real estate projects. So, yeah, that's we do
hard money loans.
So I'm a private money lender. I don't require as many as qualifications as a hard money does. I look at the strength of the deal. I look at you and your character and your track record and what you've done. If the deal makes sense, I don't do points. I take an equity position. It's typically 50%, and it's attractive to them because I don't require any payments or all the red tape, and they just pay me my money at the end of the project when it sells.
Gotcha.
Right.
Gotcha. So and then you ended up writing some books.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about that. So I know you co-authored The Power of Mental Wealth.
Right.
Okay. And you wrote a chapter in there, you said?
Yeah, chapter 5.
And so how did you even get introduced to these people?
So I mean, just as far as writing books, I also have another book that's on Amazon. It's related to wholesaling. It's called Wholesaling for Profits.
Okay.
And then my ambition was to always write books. I write every morning just to kind of clear my head. So I know Johnny Wimbery, who's kind of forefronted this particular book and put all of this together. I met Les Brown some time ago, and he correlated those particular authors and included a huge list of other successful people in their stories, and just wanted to share a little bit of myself. And so in that particular book, chapter 5, I lay out how I use my senses, hear, taste, smell, and so forth, incorporate them into what my ultimate vision and goals are.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
Man, I'm a big fan of Les Brown.
You are? Okay.
I love Les Brown.
What's your favorite?
You got to be hungry.
Yeah.
Huh? He's
Brown.
Mimi Brown's baby boy, man.
Mimi Brown's baby boy, for sure.
Yeah.
And then the other one, My Daily Bread, basically I wrote that pretty much in front of the world. I was asked to share my daily writings with people. So I did that from January 19 to June 1st, every single day consecutively. Pretty much, it's 151 days. So basically what it is a journal. It's a hybrid between a journal and a devotional. So you don't need it, read it straight through, read it over 121 days. And the concept is to develop habit. I ask you to pray, meditate, reflect on your day, set your intentions, and offer a 5-minute reading of my perspective.
Got you.
Yeah.
So my daily bread is like a 120-day read. Every day you read a little bit.
151 days.
151 days. But you
Yeah.
read over 120 days?
Yeah, you read it over 151 days.
Okay, so 5 months. You
Yeah.
read it
All
over
I want
5
you to
months.
do is develop
A habit.
mindset, a good setting your intentions for the day, a good mindset habit.
So tell me, what is your daily habit? Let's just say.
So I'll wake up, typically my average time I wake up is 4:30 in the morning.
Okay.
So sometimes a little bit before or after, and I'll write for a little bit. I write for probably 15, 20 minutes. I'll meditate and pray, take a cold shower, not consistently. And then I just get in the mindset of getting, obviously that allows me to be able to do so much in the mornings. Sometimes I'll go occasionally work out, but other times just get my kids ready for school and just give myself a mental head start before I execute in the world.
So what time you going to sleep? 10 o'clock?
It's crazy because sometimes, I'm in the restaurant club business. Sometimes it's a little late, but on average about 11 o'clock.
Tell us about your restaurant club business.
So how I got into that, first of all,
So
is just
you invest in how many restaurants or clubs?
so I two restaurants. I guess one of the bars is still a full service club. I mean, food, so you can consider it a restaurant or whatever. So 2 clubs and I guess 2 restaurants, but really 3.
Okay.
So
now how much did COVID affect y'all?
I mean, it affected everybody tremendously. I mean, the initial run where they shut all restaurants down, we in Presley's, we didn't. I mean, we weren't open at all, none of them. So obviously, it affected us, our employees.
But then the restaurants opened back up, and they were just carry out.
We weren't even doing drive-through or carry out.
Why?
So, it was just decision made amongst not myself. I was thinking that we should, but I was kind of outvoted for the most part. So, but I thought we would have, covered a lot of ground and just sustained. So we were relatively. So the restaurant I'm talking about is Presley's in the Heights. So we were open. We had just opened that October. It had shut down
in March.
Yeah, around that time. So we're just, momentum is up now, and momentum was going then, and then it just shut down. But it was a decision made that we should just shut down.
Okay. So I mean, and then the clubs didn't open up till later.
Right.
Yeah. And so I mean, how did that affect? I mean,
it affect business for sure, and like I said, I'm for employees and all that stuff. But I mean, for me, it just gave me time to focus on my books.
Real estate and books and stuff.
Yeah.
So what did you? What did COVID do for you? I mean, did it kind of give you a little reset? What did it do for you?
I think it gave everybody the opportunity to reset. Specifically for me, yes, reset, reevaluate myself, and chase more of ambition. Reset and also set my targets higher. I consider myself an ambitious person, but it made me redefine my caliber and who I am and complete these 2 books. Yeah. So again, if I didn't have that little break, it would have been a longer period to deliver that.
Got you, Tony. What is your goal for moving forward? Like, is there something that you want to do that you haven't done? Tell us what it is.
Right, man. I mean, it's to have a bigger stage in the sense of being able to impact and value, bring value to more people. I truly lay out kind of who I am and so forth on my Instagram and by the things I do, how I carry myself. I just want to inspire younger, ambitious individuals, primarily entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, that, hey, you can deliver, you can do the things that you want to do. You have to have a plan, a structure, and write down your vision and actually execute.
How important is to write down the vision?
I mean, Hannah in the Bible 2:2 says if you don't write down your vision, it can't be delivered. For the most part, it basically was saying, write down your vision, and those who see it will run. In a sense that you need to be clear on your vision and write it down and see it and keep it in front of you. Create visual environments and believe. So that's how I run my life, and that's how I want to be able to articulate to other people that to some degree develop habit, believe in yourself, write it down, and execute. So It sounds like, I'm not a motivational speaker by anything, but I've lived this truth. I come from nothing. I come from that particular environment, and I had to change some of my habits and my ways in order to deliver, who I am today to hopefully be impactful. So what it looks like for me, I really just inspired to be able to eventually be on stage with likes of a Les Brown and so forth, to be able to, tell my story, which I'm still learning to articulate. Like I said, this is my first podcast. Mm-hmm. This was an ambition of mine. It's finally happening. And I'm not, so for me, I'm uncomfortable, or I've been uncomfortable. It's a little vulnerable moment because I've been uncomfortable sharing myself with the world, because I've had to suppress a lot of who I am or like the financial success. I couldn't really share with a lot of people who the success I was financial, how successful I was becoming financially, because I know what came with that. Just people wanting, that for me. So I suppress that. So I carry that on into sharing who I am.
So
I'm learning.
You're scared of handouts. People asking for handouts. People asking for money.
I'm just not used to it.
Yeah.
I know how to cut that off. I'm just not used to sharing myself with the world.
Yeah, I got you. And I mean, how are you feeling about it now?
I mean, it's about evolution. Uh-huh. So I'm growing. This is a great opportunity, and hopefully, it does what it needs to do for your audience.
So Tony, let me ask you a question. I'm gonna cut you off over here.
Sure.
You say you write goals, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or you write your vision or whatever. Did you write this as a vision to become a little more vulnerable?
Yeah. So I set out, my goal this year was to be uncomfortable as much as possible. So I said I don't know if this is a word, the year for me of uncomfortability. So I want to put myself in more situations so I can be able to truly articulate who I am, where I come from, and how I've achieved certain things. It's easy for me to show my life as it is, but it's not easy for me to show how I've done what I've done, and that's what I'm trying to get better at.
Gotcha. Now, you say you write goals, you say you write your vision.
Right.
What would be a vision of yours to, who to become in next 4 years or 5 years or something? Do you write long-term goals? Do you write
yeah.
goals?
So as far as like
business-wise,
things out,
business-wise, personal-wise.
So obviously I have certain numbers I want to achieve financially, but realistically, I want, I have and I read them every morning in my office, is to be liquid, $50 million, so I can be able to impact more people. Donate X amount to churches and so forth. So I'll tie my goals to certain things I want to do for the world, or I want to do for my family. Create generational wealth is important to me. So have a certain amount of townhomes and cash coming in every single month, and make sure that my kids and my family understands, not only how to manage things, but how to be good people, how to deliver their visions. I don't want to intrude and put the things I didn't accomplish or my visions onto them. I want them to be able to think for themselves by daily putting affirmations in them and so forth, and just letting them know that they can do and have and believe anything is possible. I didn't have a lot of that growing up. I did have love, but I didn't have that particular mindset. So I want to instill in them first and foremost, so they can be better people in the world. And same thing with everybody around them, everybody around me. So.
Okay, so you say you want to create generational wealth, and then at the same time you want to donate to churches, give. Why is it important to give or donate or something?
Right. So,
why is it important for you?
I mean, it kind of validates, that you're able to do for other people. You're not selfish. So many people chase money, and I'm not gonna lie and say I don't put myself into a position to be able to earn more money and so forth. Everybody has these ambitions of being this big, great philanthropist and so forth. That doesn't happen without money. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't happen with you first initially securing yourself and your family and chasing the bag. There are so many people that, it's not about money. Yeah, it's bigger than money, but money is a huge part of it, especially initially until you arrive at a certain point. I can, just pour my heartstrings out and just tell you, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, I'm going to close a deal. You know what I'm saying? So because I know the positions it puts me in and the opportunities it allows me to provide for my family and others.
I'm a big believer of happiness, and
Happiness,
I mean,
absolutely.
And if you look at my Instagram and my YouTube videos, I talk about happiness a lot,
see
right?
it. Right.
And I mean, there's a lot of people who say, hey, money doesn't buy you happiness, and I mean, I have different theories on it.
Of course.
What is your theory about that?
So I asked my kids this the other day. You can look at my Instagram, Tony B for Profits, by the way. So my kids, I asked them this question, and my son, his take on it was that, if you have, we're in Aruba, right? You can't get to Aruba without money, but it's really peace, having peace, joy, your health. All those things matter. That's part of, and also being spiritually and mentally capable and healthy as well. All of those things I consider wealth, right? Financial allows you access to certain things and allows you to have more of a mental peace, if you will, in a sense that, you have access to things that money, not having money buys you nothing. You know what I'm saying? From my experience. So having money gives you the opportunity to have stress in a better environment. If you're a type of person to have stress, but having money doesn't necessarily define wealth. For me, it doesn't make you successful. It doesn't make you happy. It's all of it together, because we live in a capitalist society, because we live in an environment that values material things. But at the core, I was like I said, I grew up in a happy, loving home. I was happy as a poor kid. You know what I'm saying? I just rather these options and rather, set my kids up on a different platform.
I saw someone wrote one day, money doesn't buy you happiness. Don't say that until you have made some money.
Don't say yeah, exactly. Who said that? Someone without money.
Someone without money.
Someone without money.
But I mean, I mean, if I had, I think I did this little video the other day saying that, listen, money doesn't buy you happiness, but there are more people who get divorced because they don't have the money. Yep. Right? There's more people who not having money cause more unhappiness than having money. Yeah, I get it. I've heard people say, well, this billionaire jumped off the bridge and killed himself. He was miserable because he was alone. I just know more people, there's less cases of that than more people who are getting divorced, who are, having broken homes, and who are living through that stress of worrying, how is the lights going to be paid? How am I going to put food on the table? How am I going to...
Less stress.
There's money just gives you less stress, I think.
So Sammy believes that having money makes you happy.
No, I never said that. I said having money.
Having money.
You got to have peace.
Right.
You got to have mental health, right? So someone told me the other day, I went to go pick up my pants from this my tailor. I'd given him for alteration, and we're talking about it, and this guy said something to me that kind of made a lot of sense to me. Right. He said, "Your health. There's 3 different kind of health. Okay. There's a physical health. You go to the gym, you work out, you got strong, hard body, 6 packs. Okay, that's called physical health. Then there's spiritual health. Right. Okay, you got to have peace within, with you, the creator, the world, everybody else. That's called spiritual health, right? And then there's a mental health. You can have physical health, but you're not healthy mentally. Nothing means anything.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Nothing means that, and there's a lot of people who are mentally sick nowadays. Right? But it doesn't matter. You can have a rock hard body, 6-pack. You can have the biggest physique, but you're mentally not there. Nobody wants you.
And if you're in a hospital bed, Sammy, and you're very sick, you got all the money in the world. The only thing you're literally praying for, is to have health.
Exactly. So that's health, right? That's mental health. And then he said happiness.
Happiness.
There's 3 kind of happiness, right? There's a happiness that money can buy you. Right, you got happiness, like you got a house, you got food, you got rent, you got a good business, you got everything, you got a nice car. That's happiness. Then there's another happiness that comes from spiritual happiness. You're spiritually happy. Right. You meditate, you're peace with God. Whoever your creator is, God, whoever it might be, right? And then there's a happiness that's around you, your kids, your health, your kids' health. Okay, and your friends circle,
Right.
your family circle. You can have a lot of money, but you have no friends, and at the end of the day, you will be unhappy.
Right. Right.
You can have a lot of money, and your kids will be dying on a hospital bed, God forbid,
Right.
and you're gonna be unhappy.
Unhappy.
You can have billions of dollars, but you can't save your kid from dying.
Right.
That's the worst thing.
Right.
Okay, and I heard it one day. I mean, I think this was a church one day. A man loves three things. Let me say, he loves his money, he loves his country, and he loves his kid.
Okay.
Okay,
Forget the wife.
no. There's a
No.
love. There's a love of money. There's a love of the country, and there's a love for the kids, the family, whatever it is. Right.
Right.
And he says, if a man cannot find money somewhere, like if he's born in a country or a city or whatever, and if he doesn't have money, he cannot find opportunities, he will move to another city, another country where he can find opportunity, right? And so he, I'm sorry, the first one is a love the country, second one is love the money, third one is money, love the kids. The man, person loves their country, man. They die for their country, patriotic, do all that. They go to war for their country.
Right.
They do all that stuff. But if in that country he cannot find opportunities, right? And especially us living in Houston, we find this. People come from all over. They're from Mexico, Colombia, Pakistan, India, Arabic countries, African countries, because in their countries they could not find that money, right?
Right.
So even though they love their country and they're so patriotic and they
Right.
talk about it, right, all the time. Oh my God, where are you from? I'm Colombian. Colombia is the greatest country in the
Right.
world. Or I'm from Africa. Africa is the best country in the world.
They're gonna move away.
But
from
they're
the
gonna move
currency.
away from because
Right.
they
Of
cannot
course.
find
Yeah.
they cannot find the money, right? So they come, they leave their country behind, come to another country so they can make money.
Yeah.
That's the love, So the love of money is greater than the love of the country. Okay?
Yeah.
Then they come to the country, they make a lot of money, man. And all of a sudden somebody in their family gets sick, their mom gets sick, their kid gets sick,
Right.
whatever. And the kid gets sick and they're in the hospital, they're dying. And the man takes all the money that he worked so hard for and say, doctor, take this away from me. I'll give you hundreds of $millions.
Right, of course.
Just get my kid right. So thus, it's proven that the love of the kid or the family is much greater than the love of the money.
Absolutely.
So
Right,
I mean,
right.
and I mean, I heard that at church. I had to I had to remember all this stuff again. So yeah, there's a love of the country, love of the money, and the love of the kid. Go back to does money buy you happiness? Yes, three. So there's three ways to be happy. Mentally, you got to be happy with the money,
Right.
because if you don't have money, you're stressed out.
Right.
All that stuff. Spiritually happy.
Spiritually happy.
And then the third is the happy around you,
Yeah,
the family.
okay.
If you don't have friends, you're not happy.
Right.
You don't have family. You can have millions of dollars, family don't talk to you. What the fuck? I mean,
Right.
what good does it do?
And some people will argue, I agree with you 100%. Some people will argue that, it's not important who's around me and so forth.
Yeah. So
But
my
at the end of
Taylor
the
said
day,
it right.
It's not true.
My Taylor said it right. 3 ways of health, 3 stages of health, and 3 stages of happiness. So yes, does money make you happy? Absolutely. I'm so happy getting that yacht and going out there. I'm so happy being able to fly first class or fly in a private plane.
Right.
I'm so happy that I go to a restaurant and I don't have to look at the price of the menu. I'm
course.
so happy
Right.
that I don't have to worry about who is my rent going to be paid for? Is my lights going to be on? I'm so happy. If my car messes up, I can go take it to the mechanic. But yes, there's major core things that come around that happiness, and that's the health and well-being of your family, because that's, at the end of the day, that's all that matters.
All that matters. And just to clarify, it doesn't eliminate problems. Your problems are just different.
It's different.
It's just different.
different.
So let me ask you, and I know you're interviewing me, but I'm just curious, a person as ambitious, and I'm sure you have a story. What inspires you to do this? What inspires you to keep doing what you're doing?
To do what, a podcast, or to do
the
a
podcast and what you just kind of do in life, though you're already successful? What drives you?
Well,
what challenges you?
someone told me that, and when I went to my tailor, He said, well, you don't have to go.
Taylor's a pretty informative guy.
So I went to my tailor the other day, and he's like, man, you don't have to go to work. I mean, I'm like, I'm running a little late. I got to go. I have a meeting at work.
Right.
And he said, well, you've been in business for 23 years, business on cruise control. He said, it's okay. Don't have to work that hard sometimes. And I said, well, if I stop, right, it's just like planting a tree. Like you plant a tree, and then you don't give that tree water, sunlight. What's going to happen to that tree?
Eventually dries up and dies.
Right. So I understand that I got to be out at work every day.
Right.
For it to, because that tree, my business is my tree. Okay.
Makes
it
sense.
gives me fruit, and I pluck the fruit out and I eat. Right. I made a video yesterday. I think Angel is going to post anytime soon about money tree.
Okay.
Or we already posted it yesterday on we posted it on Instagram.
Right.
This last story about money tree. You should listen to that too.
Okay.
But it's just like the tree. I mean,
Bears
business
fruit.
is like a tree, right?
Yeah. Okay.
And if I don't give it water, if I don't give it sunlight, if I don't give it if it has fungus, don't cut it off.
Right.
Don't take care of it. Eventually, it'll die, and then I won't get my fruit out of it. Or you can call it fruit. You can call it money, you can call it
whatever,
anything, right? So yes, that's number one. Number two, number one, to us, people like us who have ambition, when is enough? We don't know. We just want to make sure that we are, we can live a certain set of life.
I say it's never enough.
Well, yes and no. It's a 2-hour conversation if I go over that.
We can explore that next time.
Right, because in a man's life, I mean, never enough, right?
Right.
But at the end of the day, in a man's, who are you leaving it to? Because at the end of the day, we all gonna go 6 feet under, and we all gonna be in a little box, man. And we can't take it none with us. Right. That's just the honest truth.
Right.
But you enjoy while you're here. A lot of people say you only live once. I say you live every day.
Right.
You only die once.
Live every day only. That's true. Absolutely.
You live every day. You only die once.
Die once.
And I mean, so when you live every day, man, just you gotta be nice to people. And I mean, I want to be able to give to people, help people, right?
Right.
But if I don't have money, if I don't have a business, how am I gonna help anybody?
We're here.
We're
here. I see you, brother. I mean,
why do I do podcasts? Because I feel like that's part of giving.
Okay.
If someone can hear your story, if I can invest my hour and a half, and I can tell somebody your story, and somebody listens to your story, and they're like, man, you know what? I grew up in a similar circumstance, and if he can do it, I can do it.
Right.
Okay.
And Sammy, just like when you say that, my story or whatever, I think also part of my just being uncomfortable with telling it is like I don't want to be the typical brother from the hood that just made success and so forth, right? So, I just want to encourage people that, like you say, your money tree, seeds grow in the dark. You got to have to first plant a seed in a belief in some sort of ambition that you're targeting, in order for it to eventually grow, so you can have things to water and blossom and so forth. So, so for me, I'm grateful for like I said, I've arrived who I am. I'm grateful for this opportunity. I am not naive that I know it's God working, the universe and making it happen for me. I'm truly just, passionate about giving back in whatever way I can. And by the way, 100% of I sell the book at $25 on Amazon. I donate 100% of it.
Oh, man, that's awesome.
So, in right now,
and that's my daily bread.
That's my daily bread. So
all 100% of the proceeds go.
I'm donating 100% of it.
That's awesome.
So one of my business partners, lost his wife and kid and so forth. So we're doing a scholarship fund for for the school that he was going to.
Awesome.
So
Let's we're getting towards the end of our our session, and I ask everybody the same question, right? If today was the last day on earth, and you have let's say you have lived 100 years, lived a great life, created a lot of wealth, wrote maybe another 5 books, you have now you have grandkids, great grandkids, and you're laying on bed, and today is the last day, and you're about to go join your creator. But everything you ever did, all the podcasts, all the videos, all these books, all got erased.
Right.
And they bring you a paper and a pen and say, Tony, write 3 things. It can be 3 affirmations, your 3 truths, 3 way to live life, whatever 3 you come up with. And this is all you can leave on this paper.
Right.
Okay. For your grandkids, for the future world, for the future generation. What are those 3 things? I mean, how to live life, whatever it is, what is important to you? What will it be?
I'm a little long-winded. I might give you more than 3.
Please do.
But the deal is, for me, is like, I set out intentions. I want my grandparents that are no longer here to be proud of me, and I want my great future grandkids to be proud of me. So live a life that, obviously you bring value to other people. So and truly care about that. Truly care about the mission beyond yourself. So that's one.
Live a life that will bring value to others.
Well, just right. Live a mission. Make sure your mission is beyond yourself,
Gotcha.
beyond your self needs or whatever. And then 2, I believe like in educating yourself in the sense of just books, podcasts, or so forth. Put more in yourself than you do in the bank. Like I said, you'll always be able to put more in yourself than you can accumulate for the most part. And then 3, just really just don't be afraid to evolve and be you and be who you are. Everyone has their own story, their own lane, and so forth. And you would be surprised who can resonate with that. Gotcha. So don't be afraid to evolve, and don't be afraid to be uncomfortable. That's what positioned me here. I've had plenty of opportunities to speak, and I've missed those opportunities just because I wasn't comfortable doing it, and I wasn't okay with being uncomfortable.
Good. Got it, man. I love that. I love that, Tony.
Yeah.
And man, I appreciate you sharing this with the world. Everybody should go, looking for Daily Bread, because 100% of those proceeds are going to a donation.
Right.
I'm going to definitely read this, your chapter in there, Power of Mental Health. Where are you at on social media right now? Where can they find you? Where can people find you?
Tony B for Profits on Instagram, on all platforms. It's Tony B for Profits. You can also go to my website, which is Tony B for Profits.
.com. So Tony B for Profits with the S at the end.
Yeah, Tony B for the number 4 Profits.
Okay, so Tony B, the number 4 Profits.
Right.
.com or
Absolutely.
Tony B, the number 4 Profits
On Instagram.
or Facebook.
Right.
Okay.
Or just Tony Bryant. Yeah.
Or Tony Bryant. Well, Tony, thank you, man.
Thank you,
This was great. Thank you so much.
This is
I
very
appreciate
special
it.
to me.
Thank you so much.
To start of something great. Thank you.
Thank you.